One of the great things about this production, it was gorgeous, but it also advanced some important conversations in the community about how to address anti-Semitic activity.
When I come up with the first idea for a new production and stuff, of course, I come to you. How do you approach that to take it further?
Frankly, for any show that we do, we really can't sell enough tickets. That's why fundraising is so important. And when you came with the idea of Coco Chanel, I thought it opened up a lot of possibilities. And we were doing it early enough that it gave me time, and the team here, time to sort of study and explore and really set up what we thought would be a really strong strategy for raising money. And ultimately, we were able to raise about $750,000 towards the creation of that work, which allowed us to go into the production in a really strong place. When you came to me with the idea of Coco Chanel, immediately I thought of the brand and I thought of all the recognition of the brand, but I didn't really know much about Coco Chanel's life. And as I began researching and reading and realizing what a dramatic life she had, but also how challenging she was as a historical figure, that, she was, clearly one of the great early female entrepreneurs who made her way and developed a global brand in a very male-dominated world and really in advance of World War II. But in doing that, she did some things that today we find unpalatable. She took a Nazi lover. She partnered with the Nazis. And there were a few moments that we talked about a lot and got a lot of advice from counselors, friends, advisors in the community about whether we should move forward with the project. Thankfully, we have good friends in the Jewish community here. I just went to a few of them for advice. Universally, they said, you're going to make some people angry. And a few people said, you really shouldn't do it. A few others said, it really just depends on how you address it. So we actually, before we announced the program, we partnered with the Anti-Defamation League to put information about anti-Semitism on our website as a part of a Center for Resources that we did related to the project. We partnered with the Bremen Museum, which is a local museum of Jewish history, and we worked with them both on strategy and on putting some educational programming together. We went through and developed an educational program with another local Holocaust museum to put educational panels in the lobbies so that if folks showed up to the program thinking they were just coming to learn about a designer, they had an educational moment to learn about really her history and details that couldn't be conveyed on the stage in a way that people would really understand. One of the great things about this production that you were a part of creating is that it was able to be both a great entertainment experience and bring people together. It was gorgeous. I mean, it is a stunning, complex, big production that people really enjoyed, but it also advanced some important conversations in the community. In the year before we brought this to Atlanta, in some of the outlying areas of the metropolitan area, there was a lot of active anti-Semitic activity going on. And this allowed for a very public conversation about how to address that, how to come together as a community. And it became a kind of touchstone in our community for how art can drive an important conversation.
The art of ballet is not only the entertainment as it might be perceived out there, but it also brings the conversation forward and brings the education to our community and beyond. It's a big driving force. For Atlanta Ballet, it took 3 years in preparation of bringing Coco Chanel premiere to the Atlanta, but you started working on it pre-pandemic. Can you tell us about when and how you decided even to make a ballet about Coco Chanel?
Yes, I had already sort of a work relationship with Septime Weber from his times with Washington Ballet, and at some point he jumped. He came with the idea, let's talk about a narrative. And as we were looking for it, and I think it's in 2017, start the first seed of which ballet would fit in Hong Kong and attract audiences in Hong Kong. So we came into, I said, my bucket list of storytelling, I have Coco Chanel, but she has nothing to do with Hong Kong. And he was like, wait a minute. There's a Chanel store in every 4 blocks of Hong Kong, so it will fit here. And so we started talking about, okay, let's develop a script. And as we were developing the script, he realized we will need co-producers because it's fashion. It's Chanel. She has a very long life. And, pairing me with Jerome Kaplan, he knew that his ideas were big. And so he came into play.
Did your perception change from pre-pandemic to after the pandemic?
Well, I would say my perception on Coco Chanel changed while researching, because for me, she was a fashion icon, but I didn't know everything that I learned through my research. I like the challenge of putting a complex character on stage. I tried to figure out the whole episode about her being an anti-Semite is to make it abstract and leave the judgment to the audience and not to mine.
You pick different parts of her life for the ballet. Is there a thread you were following in choosing those historical moments you wanted to highlight in the ballet?
Yes, the first question that I ask myself when I approach a historical figure is, what are their biggest fear and what are their biggest desires? You go back to the childhood and knowing that she was an orphan and basically rejected by her father, abandoned by her father, and also the lack of trust in men. I was like, how are we going to show that? And therefore, I took the concept of bringing a shadow of her that is already the icon that we know today, a contemporary version of Coco Chanel. And then the version that we don't know, that she's born in 1897 and, come in from a time where women were dressed really with a lot of fabric, and how she liberated women because working was for her way of surviving without having to be married to a man.
So to follow up on that, when you were knowing that there are 2 Coco Chanels that you had in the ballet, how did you choose dancers for those particular roles?
I guess for the contemporary Chanel, the shadow, just the elegance and the picture that we have of Coco Chanel. Coco Chanel, at the end of her life, was very exigent, demanding, almost a bit nasty to the employers working for her, because she was going for her vision and she was working even on Sundays. And if you didn't work, then you didn't fit in her entourage. So I was looking for someone that commanded the stage without having to do all the technique, but be very present. And then the other Chanel, I was looking for someone who could show the vulnerability, but at the same time become Chanel. Since I started choreographing, all my ballets have some sort of theatricality. It would be very hard for me to just make a piece about movement.
Well, and that explains why you're such a great storyteller, and your ballets are popular all around.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the ballet that is popular or the title.
made in Georgia.